Well, almost everything that needs to be said has been said, except I haven't said it yet. And I happen to be the governor for a while longer. I don't know. They asked Jim Rhodes. Jerry's really excited here. I want to make sure he has a little reality check. They asked Jim Rhodes, how many people work in the Department of Transportation? He said, well, about half. Jerry's got him up to 3/4 now. A couple things. First of all, we can't control our revenue. How do we do it? It's amazing to me this hadn't been done 30 years ago. We bonded against the tolls of our turnpike. We said, the fact is that we have an asset here. We not need to, as my friend Jerry will say, you've got to unlock the assets, or many of the people that are here. Mike, you understand the value of an asset that sits there and is not utilized. So we decided we were going to change the turnpike. It was a really fun time. I couldn't go into Northeast Ohio for a couple weeks. In all seriousness, they are very, very committed to the turnpike for a lot of reasons. But we had a meeting, and we were going to sell it, lease it, or bond against it. And the meeting was scheduled for 2 hours. It lasted 5 minutes, President Drake, and I said, well, the decision's simple. We'll just bond against it. So we've been able to recoup $2 billion in highway construction. That's why you see so many things happening in the state. When we get to the end of this period, this 8 years, we will have increased spending on infrastructure in this state 30%. Historic 30% increase over what other administrations have done. I don't know if we're going to get all this infrastructure money or not. Of course, we'd welcome it, but I have to caution people, it has to be shovel ready. Because if you don't, you end up in wasting money and bumbling and stumbling. We'll figure out how to use it. One of the things Jerry didn't say is because they have been so efficient and so effective, other states have not been able to spend their money, believe it or not. We get their money. We take it from them, but don't tell anybody, okay? And that's been very useful to us also. We have a lot of folks here, the distinguished board, many of whom I've appointed. We've tried to strip politics out of the business of board appointments, except for Wadsworth, we've done that. But, it's gone pretty well. And just give you a couple thoughts about some things, since some of you have never heard any of these things before. When I came into office, and this is not political, I have not much time for politics, we were in fact down 350,000 jobs. As of last Friday, we have grown private sector employment by nearly 450,000 jobs. With another approximately 50,000 job gain, we will have created in the private sector 500,000 jobs in this state. And that's a pretty remarkable thing. And we're running a surplus, but there were a lot of things created. What my goal was is to move us off of just being a manufacturing town. People say we're the Rust Belt. That's offensive to me. I believe we're the knowledge belt. And when you take a look at what we're doing in this state now, it's amazing. Now, we love manufacturing. We particularly love advanced manufacturing. Honda, for example, go up there and look at their 3D printing. It's pretty remarkable. But what we try to do is diversify the state the same way you try to diversify your portfolio. And so we've seen a lot of gains in things that Ohio had never seen before. And a couple of them is IBM Data Analytics. The only analytics operation in the world for IBM. And we're doing that here. We'll get to that in a second. We also have the Amazon cloud computing. There's only 3 in America, one in the West Coast and one in the East Coast and one in New Albany, Ohio. And it's pretty exciting. And then the fulfillment centers, we're seeing a lot, the expansion of Nestle's. There's so many things going on because we're now focusing on energy. And by the way, we hope, keep your fingers crossed, we hope that we will have an energy cracker facility which will take, it's about a $5 billion investment from out in Asia, in Thailand. It will employ, to build it, John, about, 5,000 people? To build this facility, it cracks the gas, which will allow us to develop plastics, which Dr. Wadsworth will tell you is the future. We are looking at all ways in which we can change sort of the way people think about Ohio based on what we are attracting here. Jobs Ohio is another creation. Now here's the way this one works. And you probably read about it or you didn't. It was written about. It was controversial. See, I actually thought that when you do economic development, you ought to have people working in economic development who understand it. It's a radical notion in the government. So if somebody wants to expand their financial services operation, we call in John Minor. He's as good as anybody. You want to expand your energy operation, we call in David Mustine, who worked at AEP, worked in the Middle East, I don't know, 100 years in energy, it seems as though with him. You want to talk about manufacturing, we have Christy Tanner, who is a holdover from the old operation. She traveled not only to Russia, but also to China, which is why we now have a Fliao plant with about $600 million worth of investment building windshields, where they're going to smart windshields in Dayton, taking over a facility that was abandoned by one of the auto companies. A lot of really cool stuff that's happening. And so